Good afternoon. This is Aloha Friday, and for us neighbor islanders, we can go home to a home that my husband tells me there's damages. So Waterland is on its committee agenda, notice of hearing on Friday, February 9th at 1:10 p.m. We have Aloha members and the rest of you here with us in room 229. And just a reminder for all the testifiers, including those that are on Zoom, we ask you to stand on your written testimony. And for those of you who are present here as well, hopefully you'll remain in case there's questions from our members. And we'll hold the time limit to 1 minute as well. The contacts include the hearing notice. Copies of the bills and testimony can be found on the legislature's website. The live video stream and archive of this hearing can be found on the Senate's YouTube channel. Decision-making will occur today after we hear from the testifiers. Let's proceed with SB 2167, and this is relating to natural resource protection. It appropriates additional operational funds to the Department of DLNR to protect, manage, and restore Hawaii's natural resources. DLNR, Emma Ewan, aloha, our Hilo girl as well.
Going there this Sunday. We just wanted to thank you for hearing this and stand on our testimony and support. Aloha.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Ted Bolin. Sense communication in support, Kingdom Pathways in support. Care for Aina Coalition and I guess the many advocates as well.
Precisely. Aloha. Thank you, Aloha Chair. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Kavika Riley, Vice President at the nonprofit Kupu, and also here representing the Care for Aina Now Coalition. Similar to the previous testimony, we wanted to thank you for introducing this measure and underline its importance to not only our environment, but also our state's economy. Otherwise, we will stand on our testimony and are available if there are any questions. Mahalo.
Mahalo as well. Surfrider Foundation, Maui chapter, sends communication in support. There are a total of 21 advocates for this measure in support, no opposition. Members, any questions from any of the testifiers? There is no one on Zoom. Let's proceed to SB 2658. This is relating to state water code penalties. County of Hawaii, Department of Water Supply sends in comments. We have DLNR. Dean, are you going to testify for DLNR? Aloha.
Yes, good afternoon. Aloha, Chair Inouye, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Dean Ueno, Acting Deputy Director for the Commission on Water Resource Management. We definitely highly appreciate the intent of this measure, and we offer comments and amendments. Hopefully that are our testimony. And so we stand on our testimony, written testimony. Thank you.
Mahalo for your attendance as well. County of Kauai, Department of Water sends in comments, as well as the Board of Water Supply from Ernie Lau with comments. Wayne Tanaka sends communication in support. LERF, or Land Use Research Foundation, in opposition. Members, any questions? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr.
Senator,
Ueno.
yes, Senator Elefanti.
I'm just reviewing your testimony. So is your recommendation a maximum fine of 25,000 rather than 60,000?
That's correct.
Okay. And then all the other language that is included in your written testimony?
And that was in following upon discussions with the comments that,
Okay.
that Chair had.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Ueno.
you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Hearing none, let's proceed to SB 2978, and this is relating to water resources. This establishes the income tax credit to incentivize the voluntary relinquishment of private water systems. It directs the Attorney General to commence eminent domain proceedings in certain counties. Appropriation monies declares that the appropriation exceeds the state general fund expenditure ceiling for the years 2024 to 25. DLNR.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. We'll stand on our written testimony, offering comments and requesting an amendment, and be available for any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As well as, I think, Russell Tsuji, you also sent testimony in case we need, is that correct? In case we need him on Zoom. All right, we'll proceed. Hawai'i, DOA.
Bright College Department of Agriculture stand on a written testimony respectively on proposal.
Okay, thank you. Department of Taxation.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Teresa Zevick on behalf of the Department of Taxation, standing on our written testimony, offering comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Farm Bureau. In opposition, and Brian did members say that he's in 224 in case we need to ask questions of him later. Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from
Good
Tax
afternoon,
Foundation of
Tom.
Hawaii. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Proceed.
great. The concerns we have about this measure is that we don't think tax credits are a proper way to acquire property for the state, which is what is really going on. There should be some means of negotiating value and not in the back end by saying that the landowner has to submit an application and then may get audited and the value gets hammered down. So we don't think the process is correct to accomplish the objective that this bill wants. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Members, any questions of any of the testifiers? Senator Favela.
AG's office, Department
Did you say the Attorney General
yeah.
or Tax
Well, it
Foundation?
doesn't matter, I can, the LNR or whoever, I was just gonna ask this question. Farm Bureau, Farm Bureau. anybody?
Yeah, a DLNR is here.
Okay. So the Department of Agriculture, the Farm Bureau, do you think that the state cannot be good stewards to these private waters?
Thank you, Senator Ian Hirokawa with DLNR. Yeah, I think that's a concern because, operating, if the state were to be responsible for owning and operating and maintaining these systems, we don't have the expertise, capacity, or the resources to do that. So I'm concerned that if DLNR were to receive it, that's a real concern. I think DOA might say the same, but I'll defer to them. That's why we say, we request that the bill be amended to clarify that the ownership of these systems under this measure will go to whatever the respective county that the system is in. I think there's really only one county, but that it actually be put under county management because they have their own water departments that are, more suited to own and operate these systems.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, rather than having state operating, because we don't manage water.
Correct, yes. Now, especially, I'm assuming these are for municipal domestic uses, yes. That would definitely be the counties.
Yeah, there is a concern. I know of a community in Puna that's a private water system in Lower Puna, and that's Hawaiian Beaches. They have their own water system. They developed housing, but they provided their own water as well and monitor and manage the entire system. So I can see that as the kuleana of the counties if they want to Any further questions of DLNR? Okay, members, let's proceed then. Thanks a lot. We'll proceed then to SB 2546, and this is relating to the hunting guides. This requires hunting guides who take their clients to hunt on private lands to first obtain written permission from the owner of the private land or occupier or holder. Where appropriate, it requires hunting guides to provide copies of the written permissions obtained to hunt on private lands as part of their annual reports to DLNR. DLNR. Aloha.
Hello, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. We stand by our testimony in support with comments and available for questions if you guys have any.
Okay. They are, maybe forestry would have an answer as well, but are you forestry or what agency, what department are you? Forestry as well?
Division of Forestry and Wildlife.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I work under I manage the hunting program.
Okay, okay. I know there's several operations that already on state land with leases, like that cattle industry that have agreements with you folks that they do and they manage the hunters on their property, which has worked pretty well, because the lessees are the ones that's monitoring those on the state lands. Are you aware of any other incidences outside of state land leases?
Well, the guide licenses that we issue are only for people that guide on private lands. So they're not guided on any state lands.
So those on private lands, then they have to come in for permits from you folks?
Yep, if you're gonna be a guide, you know, you can hunt on private land with just your hunting license or whatnot, or control wildlife in other manners. But if you're gonna be guiding people that are paying you, you need to get that license from the department. And that requires a verbal confirmation from the landowner that you have permission to enter the property.
Yeah, years ago, I remember in the area of Waimea and Kohala, but the activities that were managed by the hunter group were very active because they were part of a tourism activity as well, and I believe that they were all permitted. And I understand for the Big Island, tourism and hunting is well attended, I understand. Okay, all right. Any questions for DLNR on this hunting guides measure? Thanks so much for being here, appreciate it. Farm Bureau in support. Hawai'i Cattlemen's Council in support. And we have an individual, Faith Tui Pulotu in support. Is there anyone wishing to speak to SB 2546? Hearing none, we will proceed with another Big Island measure, SB 2810, and this is relating to the Pololu Valley management efforts on Hawaii Island. This provides the funds for the Pololu Valley management, including for the Division of Forestry and Wildlife and DLNR to develop the trailhead. Okay. Emma, are you speaking on behalf of DLNR? Okay.
Yes. Aloha, thank you, and we stand on our testimony in support.
Okay, thank you. HTA.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Chair, Vice Chair, members, Ilihia Johnson for the Hawaii Tourism Authority. We want to stand on our written testimony in support, but I wanted to add a little bit of context as well. When we talk about destination management, HTA has kuleana to develop some of these things, like the pilot program that we did at Pololu with our good friends at Kupu. Kavika Riley is here in the room, as well as our colleagues over at DLNR. Developing those kinds of pilot projects, working with community to figure out what the need is important. But long-term, ultimately the department that has Kuleana over the valley, DLNR in this case, is the appropriate entity to continue that stuff on. So we're very supportive of this. We're very appreciative of the opportunity to offer these comments to you, Vice Chair Elefante, as well as Senator Chang. Mahalo for introducing this measure, and we'll be available for any questions. Mahalo nui.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Very familiar, used to be in my district.
Yes.
And with MI as well. At one time, well, we know some of the members of the community doesn't want any more visitors. And it's a tight spot because it's at the end of the road. There were also plans at one time to work with the developer to on an exchange or something like that with regards to the property on the valley towards the east side. So what happened to that? And this was several years ago.
Yeah, I don't believe it went through, but I can follow up with you and send you some background because I want to get you the more information on that.
Yeah, the issue with Pololu Valley and that area is you're at the end of the road, there's residents there. So the turnaround is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now, I had spoken at one time for the Sproats property. And I think at one time they were kind of willing to sell. And that would be the best area, I believe, for a parking area rather than the parking area that the private developer who wants to do an exchange was a little far away from the corner. So maybe hopefully we can continue the discussions. And I know you know Kapua Sproat as well. You know, the families are several generations now and they have a big property, so it kind of makes sense. And, you know, we talk about the state increasing its land bank, but for the visitors as well, you know, and that area, we don't have restrooms. Did we have restrooms? Did you guys work on something with restrooms? So yours were more the marketing side, but which is kind of dangerous because when we encourage too many visitors, and that's what the community, you know, is kind of wants kind of like a quote low key, but you know, going down to Pololu Valley, if some of you have not been there, it's beautiful. But I think the trails need to be improved if we're going to continue. And if you guys are gonna continue to promote Pololu, then we need to make sure that we have safeguards.
Yeah, we are actively trying to seek funding for acquisition, but I would have to get back to you on exactly which
Yeah.
parcel. So, but that is one of our major desires is to try to expand over
Yeah,
there.
look at the
Yeah.
exchange and that private developer,
Yeah.
but in working with the community and Antisera Puli folks,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't seem like it was the best area to do an exchange or a purchase. But I think close to the end where, and visitors, they're not familiar with the area. But I'm glad that you guys are part of, you know, a partnership working with Pololu Valley, but I think we also have to be careful because hear from the communities as well.
Yeah,
You gotta make sure if there's any plans, gotta meet with them first.
definitely.
Okay, thanks so much for all you do.
Mahalo.
Okay. Anyone else wishes to speak to SB 2810? Okay, hearing none, let's go on then to SB 2759. And this is relating to land leases. And this prohibits the state from leasing any public lands or extending the lease of any public lands to any individual corporation or federal agency that is in arrears in the payment of certain monies to the state, non-compliant with a consent decree or memoranda of agreement with the state that requires environmental maintenance or remediation with regard to the subject public lands or convicted of a crime. DLNR.
Senator, testimony offering comments on the issue.
Okay, thank you so much. DOT, it's Neffin or representative? has some comments. Hawaii Military Affairs Council, and I think this is the MAC, could be the Chamber of Commerce. Anybody familiar with the MAC? That's a chamber, yeah? Chamber of Commerce. Anyway, their communication is in opposition. Kyle Kajihiro, Hawaii Peace and Justice, in support. Wayne Tanaka, Sierra Club in support. Melissa Pevlicek in opposition, and she's speaking on behalf of the harbor users group, or HUGS as we know. Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, Ashley Aubrey, sends communication in support. Is there anyone wishes to speak to SB 2759? Any questions, members? Senator Favela.
We don't have the AG's office here.
AG is not here. Okay.
Ms.
Question,
Dillon,
is there any questions you might ask of maybe the Eleanor?
So I guess, the question is, can we, maintain it, and can we, the only reason why I'm saying this is because, we wanted to put all the leases, well, not we, but people I talked to in this building, I don't wanna say who, wanted to put all the leases at one time, something to what they're showing here, all in, especially with the military, all in one lease agreement, and then later on put it out for, lease and then fair market value, or whatever the deal is, because right now, majority of the land is coming up for lease. Some of them pay $1 for 65 years. So, I think this is something going in the right direction, but, there's individual leases, yeah, going up, so, I know you guys, support them, but is that obtainable?
I'm sorry, Ian Hirokawa with DLNR. When you mean obtainable in terms of trying to do one lease?
Because there's more than one lease, yeah, more than one
Yeah.
leases. So in the time frame we're talking about with the leases renew on certain areas, are we gonna be, in the time frame and not giving one extension without a lease?
I can't say for sure. I mean, we're working at the best we can to go through the process. But some of these requirements are based on, the applicants, right? The various
Yes.
military, and we don't, we can't control the speed at that work at. So, we can do our part to try and expedite things, review them as thoroughly and as expeditiously as possible. But I don't think I can make any guarantee as to anything when we would finish. We'd like to, but.
So again, saying that, so let's say I lease land and my lease is gonna be up in the next 2 years. Do you guys give them parameters when they gotta put in, should be put in by that time? To give you guys time to review it, like you just said, or you just let them wait till the last day and then you guys give them a year-to-year extension?
You talking for the military specifically, or
Just the
just?
land, yeah.
Well, generally, I think if any lessee, not just the military,
Yeah,
comes to
yeah.
us and, we try to have communication with them to
Yes.
explain to them what's needed and be aware of certain time, as best as we can communicate with them.
Yes.
And hopefully they can, do it in the amount of time. Sometimes, for example, if a lease ends, they can be on a revocable permit, or, we try to work, so that basically, we can try to work with them to make sure that,
You don't change.
yeah, that to do what we can within the bounds of the law to ensure that, they don't have to like vacate, but like I said, maybe they might get a revocable permit or something, so.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chair.
Ian, we had communication with Russell, Russell Tsuji. Russell, are you on Zoom, IT?
Oh, no, he's not here today.
He's
He had
not here.
he had another appointment, so
Oh,
he's not,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'm covering for him, actually,
All
so,
right.
yeah.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, so having said that, with the majority of leases, and I'm not sure if you could answer that today, or even with regards to military lands on state lands, Are you familiar if anyone is in arrears?
Not-
Or a percentage?
I don't know of the military being in arrears. I mean, they don't
Okay.
really have
What about
rent.
existing agriculture?
I don't, not that I know of, I can't
Okay.
say for certain, but I don't know of any, you know.
So it's not a real big issue as far as in arrears, because I think you folks already have that opportunity to get after the leases anyway.
Correct,
If
yeah.
somebody's in arrears.
Correct, and yeah,
No
we-
different than the Department of Ag.
Right, I mean, if they were non-compliant, we probably wouldn't recommend an extension to begin with, you know, if they weren't
Yeah.
keeping up with the lease requirements, so.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishes to speak to SB 2759? Members, let's continue on to SB 2209, and this is relating to thrill craft. Members, we have received 193 communications in opposition to this. We will also have, I'm sure, some comments from those in attendance as well. We'll proceed just to let you know of the many communications we have received on SB 2209. DLNR. Aloha.
Aloha. Good afternoon, Chair Inouye, Vice Chair Levante, committee members, Ed Underwood, Administrator with the Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. We stand on our testimony offering comments and then also offering a friendly amendment.
Okay. And that's in your testimony on the amendments, yeah?
Yes.
As well? Okay.
It's primarily to, the thrillcraft laws went into effect over 30 years ago. The technology has moved them forward, and we found that thrillcraft that are greater than 1,000 cc's are more like boats now, but they're lumped into this category, and we think that those should be carved out from the thrillcraft definition.
Okay, it seems like all the testimony that we've received so far, though, are all in opposition because the particular, I guess, talking about the
E-foil.
the e-foils
Yes.
are not, they feel it's not considered a thrillcraft. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a new piece of equipment that's been introduced. The Coast Guard looked at this heavily as well, and the Coast Guard deemed it to be more of a vessel, categorized it as that. So we just mirrored the Coast Guard definition. If you consider them a thrillcraft, then you'd be putting all of those in the same area as all the thrillcraft, which are smaller areas, and you could increase possible conflict there.
Okay, this is a Maui County Council package, which it's interesting because most of the opposition is coming out from Maui. But thanks,
Sure.
you'll be here in case there's any further questions. Maui County Council, and this is their measure. Chair Alice Lee, are you on Zoom or representative? IT?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. Testifying for the official Hawai'i E-File Association in opposition. And Alika Ferreira, is that you on Zoom?
Yes, I am on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. You have a minute. Proceed.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. My name is Alika Ferreira, and I oppose SB 2209. If this bill is passed, you will cause a very serious situation between e-foils and jet skis. Classifying an e-foil as a thrillcraft is like classifying a battery-powered skateboard as a motorcycle. It doesn't make any sense, and it is dangerous for the two vehicles to operate in the same space. E-foils are the new kids on the block, so we are getting picked on by those who don't like us. This bill is trying to fit a square e-foil peg into a round thrillcraft hole because a small group in West Maui feel threatened by a small group of e-foils. The correct response is a conversation, not a bill that restricts the entire state. The U.S. Coast Guard and DLNR have thoroughly reviewed the e-foil and have correctly determined e-foils to be vessels, not thrillcraft. As it stands today, there have been exactly 0 incident reports filed with DLNR and the Coast Guard involving an e-foil. Mahalo for your time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alika. Also in Zoom, I think it's part of your association. Paul, are you there?
He's present on Zoom, Chair.
Yes, I was trying to speak, but I think Paul,
Yes,
Paul, can you hear us?
yes, I can hear.
Okay, proceed, please.
Yes, hi. Thank you for your time, committee. I'd just like to say that we strongly oppose the bill SB 2209 because classifying an electric hydrofoil or e-foil as a thrill craft is extremely dangerous. An e-foil operates silently at very low speed with no wake or no waves. But a jet ski or throwcraft is much larger and operates at a much higher speed with very heavy wake. So it's like comparing an e-bike with a motorcycle. So bicycles, for example, share the road with other motor vehicles, but putting an electric motor on a bicycle does not make a bicycle a motorcycle. An e-bike still runs in the same lane with other bicycles. This is pretty much common sense, right? In the same way, surfboards that share the ocean with other watercraft, putting an electric motor on a surfboard does not make it a jet ski, nor does it make it a thrill craft. So an e-foil should be able to share the ocean with other watercrafts.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. Thanks for your comments and sending testimony. We'll proceed then with the National Marine Manufacturers Association. David Dickerson, is that you on Zoom?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. I want to echo what has already been said about how the definition for throwcraft simply doesn't fit an e-foil. I represent not only the National Marine Manufacturers, but also the Personal Watercraft Industry Association. And PWC are very powerful. They have long range. They have a place to store water, sunscreen, EPIRBs, marine radios. All of these things are recommended by the department for anyone that is going offshore. And e-foil simply can't do that. It would be a dangerous situation. And I also believe that the concerns that were raised in the 90s when this was first created, this category, really are not reflected with today's e-foil schools, which are very low impact. They're quiet. They're much, they are respectful and able to work with people, I think much more so. And in addition, if you were to call an e-foil a throwcraft, they would only be able to launch from a launch facility or from a private beach. That doesn't make sense for a 70-pound vessel that can be broken down even to smaller pieces. So I think for those reasons, I would ask that you not vote in support of SB 2209. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Austin Winner, is that you on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, I see someone else there. Can you mention who you are? Is that James?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, all right. Yes, proceed.
Yes, I'm James, Wailuku, Maui. So I don't know if you guys know this. This is actually the fourth time these activists have tried this. Each time it's been shot down, thankfully, by the wisdom and yeah, by you guys and the fight against it. So what I want to mention is, and they've already mentioned it, but the main reason I think it gets is because how they're going about it. Meaning, imagine if instead of creating specific traffic laws to govern electric assisted bicycles, we instead tried to classify them as motorcycle. That would force them onto the roads. They'd have to get permits. They'd have to get a driver's license, take a test, have to get insurance. It's ridiculous. In the same way that wouldn't make sense, it doesn't make sense to reclassify electric assisted surfboards, foils as a thrill craft, putting us with jet skis. It's irrational.
Thank you,
What I would
James.
say is,
We
why not
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Your time is up. I'm sorry, but we have others on Zoom as well we'd like to accommodate. But thank you for your
Aloha Friday, my
testimony.
friends.
Vadim Ustimenko.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, I think it's Man Nguyen on Zoom.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, those are all opposition. John McCabe on Zoom.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, Carolyn Burris.
She is present.
Hello. Oh, oops, trying to get my video going. My name is Carolyn Burris. Thank you so much, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. I stand in by my written testimony in opposition of SB 2209. It would very dangerously put us e-foilers in those thrill zones with watercraft that operate at much, much higher speeds than we do. In addition, it would put us very far out and away from shore. And should anything happen, it again would put us in danger of getting in should we have any technical difficulties. So please defeat this because it just doesn't make sense and it puts us in much more danger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Ravi Marino on Zoom.
Present on Zoom, Chair.
Did you say present?
Yeah, present.
Okay.
Aloha, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my video is not working. I'm not going to jump in and say the same thing everybody else is saying, but I would like to bring up some previous things.
Excuse me, IT, can you dispense with Carolyn? I think she's still on. Is that Carolyn? Yes. Okay. Proceed, Ravi.
Oh, there we go. We have some video. So I just wanted to be specific into a different area. I've been working for 4 years now, speaking on behalf of the e-foil community. My name's Ravi Marino. I oppose the bill. But specifically here, the DLNR DOBOR guided by the administrator, Ed, who's in the room there, and partnered with such veteran DLNR experienced staff such as Clifford Inn, spent a whole year accumulating data to create regulations to rule and encompass the new technologies. So they've done their due diligence over and above. And I'd just like to say that the state attorney general also moved in the last years to express that they did an amazing job at classifying these vessels. Last year, Ed proposed making new rules. I know he mentioned some amendments here today. Maybe we just need to recircle back to potential rules on the e-foils and not re-legislate them into a different area such as thrillcraft. And that was it. Just that the DLNR DOBOR did a phenomenal job. The Attorney General supported that in the last 3 years. And
thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Rebecca Mia, and followed by Matthew Alcesser on Zoom.
Hi.
Rebecca, yes, proceed, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me. I oppose this bill and I agree with what the other people have said. And I would like to add that in addition to the fact, I think there's a big misconception here, I should say. And I think that people think that because the people who are advertising, manufacturers who are advertising that e-foils are going at higher speeds, there's a misconception that we would suddenly want to go at a higher speed. Flight has this, they've done GPS tracking to see how fast people go, and then they've come up with this little tool that lets you see if you're going at certain speeds, how long your battery would last. What we're actually after when we're riding is how long we can stay out and ride. The thrill isn't in speed. The thrill is just in floating above the water while you get to look around and no longer have pressure on your arthritic joints. So I would, at 120 pounds, if I were to try to go 20 miles per hour, I could only stay out for 20 minutes. I wouldn't ever do that. I ride at around 10 miles per hour so that I can get a longer ride time.
Thank you, Rebecca. Matthew, are you on Zoom?
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, let's see. Thomas Cooper, is that you on Zoom?
Yes, I'm present on Zoom.
Okay,
Yes, can you hear me?
Proceed, please.
Yeah, I would just say that I think we get confused with the foils that like go into shore. Like we're beyond where the break of where any surfers would be. And we seem to be like, the demographic is mainly just older 50-something people that are out to have fun, but we're very respectful of we're not in the same zone as any surfers or anybody else. And then driving us out to sea would just be dangerous. They're hard to, if something were to happen, some sort of malfunction, we could be lost at sea easily. It's just a tiny speck in the ocean. So I'm in opposition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There are several. Yes. IT? Do we have someone else that I failed to call?
Yes, we do. He actually joined late, John McCabe.
Oh, please proceed.
Hello, my name is John McCabe. I'm actually based on the island of Maui, where this bill was created. And I also oppose, as do many of the people testifying.
IT, excuse me, IT, can you, I think, close out? Did we just speak with Tom?
Let me know if you can hear me.
Okay, yes. IT, can you restart his timer and allow the last gentleman on Zoom?
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Okay, can you state your name again, please?
My name is John McCabe. I'm
Yes,
an
proceed.
avid ocean user from Maui, and I also oppose the bill. I speak more on behalf of the elderly and disabled and injured people that use these e-foils as a platform to allow them to share the ocean and enjoy the ocean the way they would like to. And by not allowing this innovation and technology to be used and restricting everybody, it's actually discrimination against our kapuna and our elderly in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. For those of you here, since we had about 200 testimonies, anyone here wishes to speak that has sent testimony? Okay, hearing none, then we'll open up. Then is there anyone else again who wishes to speak to SB 2209? Hearing none, we have a, is that feedback? Are we having here? IT, can you close out yourself? I think we're done with the Zoom on this measure.
Okay, copy that, Chair.
Thank you. We'll proceed with SB 3050, and this is relating to the Hawai'i Community Development Authority, and this authorizes HCDA to render services to and assist state and county agencies upon request. Okay. Thank you for your patience, HCDA.
Aloha, Chair and Vice Chair and members of the committee, Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director of Hawai'i Community Development Authority. This bill is very important to us. This would allow us to, it's a housekeeping measure to allow us to assist other state and county agencies, both within and outside of our community development districts. In 2022, the board adopted a strategic plan for the agency, which included allowing us to help other state and county agencies. In 2023 November of 2023, the board updated that strategic plan and also included the ability to help other state agencies. For me, this bill and the agency is really about trying to do more to help other state agencies with what we have and who we have. We have an incredible staff that can help other state agencies and help them with their infrastructure, planning and development. I think about it that way. And then some of the projects we've helped on is Waiakea Peninsula, helping and working with DLNR, and we enjoyed that relationship. Thank you.
You want some more work? Okay. Anyway, I have one question though.
Okay.
And the question is, I have no problem with the measure.
Okay.
However, because you include the counties, so your assistance to render to the state and county, and that's your job for on the counties, on the state side. So when you want to assist the county, you're gonna not charge them.
So.
I mean, like the counties right now, they can go hire a consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a question to share.
Yeah.
How would you approach that?
And thank you, Chair, for the question. I think predominantly, we put that in just to give us that option in case that arises. But I think primarily our assistance would be to other state agencies. If we were to formally assist a county agency, I think we would suggest some kind of fee schedule to compensate us for that. And the fee schedule we often use is the DAG's fee schedule to help with that.
So there may be a
There
cost.
may be, and
I'm glad I asked.
yeah,
The
it's a good
question.
question, but primarily state agency.
I just wanted to make sure it's in the
Thank you,
record
thank you,
as
Chair.
well. Senator Elafante.
Yeah, thank you. It's I want to ask specifically in addition to that example you mentioned, are there other examples or requests that you have received from other state agencies that need help?
Sure. The Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation has asked us to help them with expanding their kitchen facility. We're actually building a new kitchen facility at the Women's Correctional Center, Community Center in Kailua. I believe they're undergoing a new housing module and adding beds, but they really need a new kitchen to kind of keep up with that or to accommodate those extra beds. Their existing kitchen is very outdated and old, and they could use a new kitchen and then use the existing facilities to, I think, expand the program that they have with the KCC's culinary program. That culinary program is amazing. It provides not just culinary skills training for inmates, but also provides life skills training. So when inmates are out in the community, I believe it helps prevent, a high recidivism rate. But just an incredible program that they have with KCC, and I think building a new kitchen would support that. Also, Vice Chair Elefante, in the past, we've helped Hawaii Technology Development Corporation with the development of the Entrepreneur Sandbox in Kaka'ako, Makai. We also helped with HTDC on the First Responders Tech Campus to develop to do some planning work for that. That work has stopped, but those are the notable other examples, Vice Chair, as well as helping DLNR.
And as a quick follow-up to that, the last question I have is, I also note that in DLNR's testimony, you're also helping them with a community development district on Maui. Is that accurate?
Pule, yeah. So in 2022, the legislature established another community development district. Pule Hunui.
There might be another one coming too.
Thank you, Senator. I think. So they established Pule Hunui, and our main charge there is to develop infrastructure that will support the building of a new prison and possibly a judiciary complex, and also to support the development on DLNR and DHHL lands in that area. So we've been working, talking to DLNR, DHHL, speaking with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And in fact, we have an RFP that's open right now, and we received recently 2 proposals to do this plan, design, build project for Pule Hunui. So we hope to get award in probably May or so, but we're going full speed ahead with that because the funds do lapse at the end of June. And we've been keeping Chair Yamashita on the House side informed of what we're doing.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Did you have any requests from DOT with regards to a project? When I was Chair of Transportation, there was an inquiry from Chihuli, which is right next door to the Seattle, what do you call that, high-rise, the Space Needle? And they were looking at renting part of the end of Pier, DOT's building, is that Pier 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, and where it abuts to the college at Aloha Tower.
So, yeah.
So whatever happened to that, I understand, did they pull back or? have you gotten a note from DOT to consider
Uh,
that as well?
Not from DOT, but Chihuly is the glass museum in Seattle, right? And I think the building you're referring to, I believe, is the former HECO substation and generating plant. So
Yeah, the initial stage was using the part
Okay.
of the college
Okay.
and the end of the vacancy of our pier at Aloha Towers, down at the end. But then I understand they were looking at other areas. Are they looking at HECO's plan?
they're looking at HECO plant, and as our Kakako Makai district actually includes the HECO power plant, former HECO power
Right.
plant site. So they've reached out, or consultants have reached out to my planning and development director, Ryan Tam, and I think they've started some initial discussions
Oh, okay,
about,
so-
about the idea of a sort of
So
a
they
glass
probably, you
museum.
did get a request from HDOT for them to consider
Yeah.
communicating with you then.
And I think we've had some initial discussions with their consultant.
Actually, that glass museum, you know where I suggested it go to?
Where?
Replace the ponds.
Oh.
I mean, because we got lots of yard space.
Yeah.
And that Chihuly project in Seattle, I've been there to look at it. The public, I mean, it's crowded. People pay to get to see it. But we got lots of land space. That's interesting. Do you know where's HECO on this? Are they willing to sell their building?
I don't know the details,
Okay.
Chair, whether they're gonna sell it, they're gonna lease it or do something, but I know
That's a lot of
discussions
work because you have
just
to do
started.
demolition first.
Yeah, I think they're looking at the former turbine building, the building with a turbine in it, or was it?
Is it the same area?
It's in that former HECO power plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for the
Any
question.
questions?
Just
Yes,
a
Senator
quick one.
McKelvey.
Just generic, aside, quick question. Out of all the CDAs that are existing, how many have existing residential homes in them?
Community Development
Yeah.
District? Existing, in which, I'm sorry, which?
Just generally, and do any of them I mean, there's Kaka'ako, there's Pu'ulenuhui, they don't contain existing residences.
Pulehunui does not.
Kaka'ako does, or does?
Oh, yeah, Kakako does.
Does?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's, high rises mostly in the Malka side. On the Makai side of the district, residential is not allowed.
Okay, but the district has a Mauka portion where there's pre-existing residents.
Exactly, yeah.
Before the authority was formed, it was there, right?
No, before the authority was formed in 1976 by the legislature. At that time, Kakako was mostly industrial. And the idea was to redevelop Kakako, HCDA to redevelop Kakako. So, what was there in 1976 is very different. However, we still encourage industrial uses in Kakako. We find that even with the high-rise development and a lot of the development in Kakako, Malka, people depend on the car repair shops, the auto body shops on Queen Street. And then that's.
Oh, yeah, you said you have mixed use going on in
Mixed
there,
use,
yeah,
yeah.
part of but before, it wasn't existing residential. right?
Not before.
Before the formation.
I think
of
there was very little residential in Kakako, Malka prior to
it.
HCDA.
Okay, I really appreciate you, and Chair, thank you for your indulgence on that. Okay,
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate the
There,
question.
there were some older buildings
buildings,
there
yeah.
because I had
Yeah.
grandparents that were living in Kaka'ako.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my in-laws lived in Kakako too
Yes.
for a long time.
Another question.
Yeah.
So if you're responsible or assisting developments in any particular area, and then you have to also look at contractors, so the different components of the development, who does the procurement? That belongs to your,
It does.
oh,
It
okay.
does. It's within our shop. We have in order to do more with what we have, I've kind of reorganized the agency so that we have a planning and development section, which is headed by Ryan Tam. And then we have a capital improvement section that's headed up by Mark Lakota. And Mark and his team do a lot of they're doing Pulehunui, they're doing the procurement for Ivole Kapolama electrical work, West Oahu roads, and they working with my Chief Financial Officer, Garrett Sasaki, who's sitting there, do all the procurements.
Okay.
Yep.
but you still have to go through SHPD as well.
Of course, we
Okay,
do have
all
to
right.
consider
Sure.
SHPD and any other,
Because you're the planning tool as well.
yes. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Hope I've answered your
So
questions.
you have about grabbing the way out.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Anyone else wishes to speak to SB 3050 as well? There has been communication from DBED, and I guess you're representing DBED as well. DLNR.
Just stand on our testimony and support.
Okay. Mahalo. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to SB 3050? Members, any further questions? Otherwise, we'll proceed to SB 3054. And this is relating to the TOD, and this amends the membership of the Hawai'i Interagency Council for Trans-Oriented Development to replace the Director of Law Enforcement with the Director of Corrections and Rehabilitations. And members, this is another administration measure. DBED, or let's see, who is here? Office of Planning?
I'm Harrison Root for Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Yes.
We stand on a written testimony.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks for your patience as well. We did have DBED's Director Tokioka Communication in support. Cardi, Chang, DLNR, waiting patiently. Are you there or?
No, that's not.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, that's it for 3054.
Wait, quick, can I?
Senator McKelvey
Yeah,
for
just the DBED on this, on the corrections bill, planning, you're part of DBED, so. This is the TOD, Interagency Council. I mean, why would the Corrections and Rehabilitation Director even be on a TOD council?
DCR is an active member. They are planning, for instance, OCCC.
But that's a specific project in a specific area, specific
Yes,
segment. This is a full-on, this is a macro TOD council. Why would they be on that?
The job of the TOD Council, which was established by the legislature, is to coordinate among all of the different state agencies and the counties for both the rail corridor and several 3 to 4 identified TOD areas on each neighbor island.
Yeah.
And we worked actively with all of the different agencies, and DCR owns property, sometimes prison, sometimes other supportive structures. I think the Senate did a tour of OCCC and the Halava area, and we participated briefly on the TOD, TOD projects there with DCR and with DAGs. So that's actively, and they have been, when it was, originally the prior department, PSD, before it was separated in by Act 278 in 2022. It was, when it was separated out, for some reason, I think it's a minor or oversight, it should have been DCR that was split as membership of the TOD Council. In fact, they are continuing to attend meetings, even though DLE is the named entity, and we're still continuing the coordination with DCR about their redevelopment of sites, not limited to the major ones. So that coordination is going on, this just formalizes it.
Okay, all right, thanks for that.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you for your presence here as well. Anyone else wishes to speak to SB 3054? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue on to another administration bill, SB 3153, and this is relating to the dam and appurtenance improvement or removal grant program. Okay, here we go, Cardi Chang. This has been discussion for some time now.
Yes. Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Cardi Chag, on behalf of DLNR, we strongly support this administration bill, and this measure is necessary to implement the provisions of Act 134 that was passed last year to provide grant monies to private dam owners. Available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, ADC sends communication in support. LURF, or Land Use Research Foundation, in support, Farm Bureau in support, and the Hawai'i Crop, are we on the same one? Yeah. Hawai'i Crop Improvement Association in support as well. Anyone else wishes to speak to SB 3153? I had one question, Cardi. Wasn't there an appropriation made, was it last year? Was included or just or are we, does this include, oh, yeah, this bill does include appropriation.
Yeah, but let me back up to Act
Yeah.
134 that was
Right.
signed into law last year. Act 134 included $10 million for grants and also $220,000 per year for 2 positions. However, what Act 134 did not do is make those positions recurring, which means that it's only for 2 years. So we're gonna have to
Because
come
it
back.
wasn't in the budget.
It wasn't rolled into our base budget, so next year, we're gonna have to come in for a recurring request to permanently fund 2 positions into the base budget of DNR. So we need those positions to actually implement this new law.
Why wait for next year?
Or because the Act 134 provided money for 2 years, but
okay.
it's very
Okay, we're on our
difficult to
second
hire a planner and accountant for 2 years. No one's gonna take that job and say, after 2 years, we don't know if we can fund your position. And we were looking at professional planner and an accountant. So we're gonna wait, we're actually using the money for a consultant to start up the program. But if we get the recurring funding, then we're able to fund a permanent FTE, which we need to implement the provisions of this.
Is this same program connected to part of the properties we acquired in Waihiwa?
Well, the intention of Act 134 is to enable private dam owners. So the Waihiwa is.
It's kind of like a loan a
Yeah,
grant program.
I think
Okay.
government-owned dams, they can get government funding,
Sure.
but I think this is to kind of help the private
Did you have
sector.
any takings so far?
We haven't really set up the
program.
program yet. We're standing up the program. We got to develop criteria, the application process and so forth. So we're in that process. And then I think in fiscal year '25, we should be able to offer grants, but we really need those 2 positions to really facilitate.
All right.
program. Thank you.
Good luck with filling vacancies.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Oh, yes, Senator McKelvey.
I believe this is the law based on Senator Agaron's bill on it.
I'm not sure, well, when we say the law based on Senator.
Agaron's bill. Anyway, but one of the things I guess I also had concerns about was, this is critically needed, but it's the fact that it also can be used for dam removal, reservoir removal. And that, of course, doesn't sit very well when we should be doing the exact opposite, trying to preserve and create new ones as much as possible. Given the amount of funding, when you get positions forward, you're working with a consultant and such, is there going to be any internal review of the department of prioritizing the funds towards, restoration and improvement over removal insofar as limited funds, or is it just going to be first come, first serve?
It's not going to be first come, first serve. And the reason why removal was in there is because from a dam safety perspective, both rehabilitation and removal both satisfy the criteria that is mandated to ensure the dam is safe. But the priority wise, we're going to look at probably risk, population at risk, the deficiencies of the dam, the hazard of the dam, when we set the criteria. That's why we're developing the criteria to make sure that whether it's removal or rehabilitation, that both satisfy our mandate. People have asked, well, what about ag? What about recreation? What about flood control? Is that all going to come into play? I think the primary criteria, because it's placed in 179D, which is the dam safety law, it should be based on risk of a dam failure, which is really the mission of that particular statute.
So,
The failure of a dam,
Minimize
minimize
the
the
179D, so there's nothing to say that, okay, this dam is so badly compromised and needs to be removed, but no plan to say, we're going to create a new one, or, most of the removal applications come from private landowners, right?
Removal depends. There's some government entities that choose to remove the dam only because it doesn't serve their system, or maybe it's too small. So we've gotten some removal applications from state entities as well.
If you could let me know about those, that'd be great. I mean, like you said, which state entities have asked for removal applications?
I mean, the only state entities that own dams is DHHL, DOA, ADC, and DNR.
Yeah.
That's basically the 4.
No, I know, but it's funny because one of the agencies you mentioned is in dire need of water for its, development purposes, so.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Just
Senator
a-
Favela.
Just a quick follow-up. What causes the dams to deteriorate and have to be removed?
Well, most of the dams are built like at the turn of the century.
And all of the dams in the state of Hawaii are earthen dams. So they're built probably substandard to today's standards. So just over time, just like any other facility or structure, it's going to deteriorate. And if you don't properly maintain it over time, it's gonna break down like any other structure. And so it needs, and then you have this water behind it, which is causing constant pressure on the embankment. So you just need to make sure those dams are safe. And
I understand, we need to keep them safe. What about those guys that never give a damn? Never mind.
You found a way to get in there. I was like, how do I?
Give a damn. Got it.
Okay, all right. Okay, Senator Bavella, you're being creative. Okay, let's proceed to the next several admin bills. So we're moving along. SB 3156 relating to rent credits for demolition and infrastructure costs on public land leases. DLNR.
I'll move up front since I have the next three.
Yes, please.
Ian, thank you. Ian Hirokawa with DLNR. We'll stand on our testimony in support of this administration measure and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, members, any questions on this measure 3156? Moving along, another administration bill, SB 3158, and this is relating to updating the public land leases issued pursuant to Chapter 171 of the HRS. Okay, DLNR.
Thank you, Ian Hirokawa with DLNR Land Division. Again, we'll stand on our testimony in support of this admin measure and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Members, any questions on SB 3158? Proceeding on to the last measure, another administration bill, SB 3160, and this is relating to inspections on public land. Okay, DLNR.
Good afternoon, Ian Hirokawa with DLNR Land Division. Again, we'll stand on our written testimony in support of this administration measure and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I have more or less the comment, and I'm kind of happy that this is moving along and you're agreeing to put this in statute and part of, I guess, your rules that you probably work on. But this has been a sore point with state land leases. And so, having just the kind of like the same old things that people would just pop in to renter leases, particularly on the Big Island and in my district as well. And so I'm happy that maybe part of my complaints that you are moving, but I'm happy that the administration is, doing something that everybody understands, that there is a process now moving forward, and you do all the due diligence, the alertness, and letting them know we'll be on your property as well. But thanks, I appreciate that, the response from this administration.
Thank you, Chair.
Is doing this. Okay.
I hate to do
Yes,
this.
Senator McAlpin, followed by Senator Elefante. Okay.
No, my question was, that this bill establishes a framework for inspections of the leases themselves, right? The leases and licensees, or the permits that the department is issuing, the licenses the department is issuing, the permits the department, that's what this sets up.
Yes,
right?
it's for those that basically have some form of tenancy.
Yeah,
Yes,
so, but it is inspecting these licenses and fees, because the title is relating to inspections on public land.
Oh, yeah, it's
And so I'm like, okay, well, hopefully that doesn't cause a problem down the road.
I would hope not. I mean, I would think.
I just
not,
bring it
but
up now
yeah.
because this crazy building, and the attorneys down the road may be like, there could be a potential,
Yeah, well, I hope not, but yeah, but you're
That's the
correct.
only reason I'm
Yeah,
flagging
Yeah,
it,
but it
so.
is to inspect
So
those.
it's not, because it's about inspecting on a public land, so far as respecting of public land licenses and stuff. So, okay, thanks.
That includes everything, licenses, the leases, revocable permits, revocable, the RV.
Yeah, it could apply to anything,
Anything that's
yeah.
leased.
I think the focus though would be on like long-term leases, especially if they're coming up for like, they want to get an extension
Sure.
or, we want to make sure that the improvements are kept in good order.
Absolutely. Okay, any further? Yes, Senator Elefante.
Yeah, Mr. Hirokawa, currently now, do you guys use third parties to help with your review or inspection of leases?
We are beginning to do that, yeah. We just actually entered into a contract with a private contractor to start looking at.
Okay, because that's what's currently contained in here, that you'd be able to use a third party.
Yes, yes. So I think the idea is we would want to expand it under this, because right now, we just kind of, the initial contract, we just paid for it out of our own operating funds to kind of address sort of the immediate ones that are like asking for extensions, so we're going to do that, but this would allow us to kind of broaden that.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a question before we
Sure.
go into decision-making. Can we revert back to SB 3158? And that's the second to the last one.
Okay.
That has to do with leases. Leases that, you're coming up with a new form. You're drafting a new form, be drafted on forms that reflect contemporary leasing practices
Yeah.
and policies. Before, okay, reason I bring this up is before you did this, some of the leases were extended. But the division also did apply a new process to an existing lease. And now, my understanding, and please correct me, but you can go back and check. There were some leases in my district, such as KIAA, the industrial area, that leases probably did last year, or let's say the last 2 years, that used the new form to me, which I thought was illegal to do. Because when you're applying a new extension of an existing lease, but you use the new form, but now you're coming before it to make it legal. So can you check and see if there was any of the current leases up to last year or up to now and holding that? I don't know, because you can't, I'm thinking that you probably could grandfather them with not going with your new forms, because your new forms are more restrictive. But just kind of check.
So you want to know which leases
Yeah,
have
if
the
there were
new-
any leases
that were
affected previously, you can use the last 3 years. Because I remember a competitive new lease extension in my constituent was told by the AG that now we're using a new form. But I don't think that was legal or that was appropriate, but now you're coming on with this to be part of the chapter, which I'm glad you guys are correcting yourselves. But just make sure that, because if the new form was very subjective and was more difficult to get the lease, but because it's an extension, that these guys are in business.
Yeah,
And they just want to continue, but then they were penalized with using the new form, which to me was unacceptable.
we'll
And
follow
see if that can be amended or whatever.
We'll follow up.
Please.
So, yeah, just so within the last 3 years, any current lease
Yeah,
extensions
yeah.
that were, the new terms and conditions were.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
we'll look
That
into it,
the
yeah.
new terms should not have been applied to current lessees.
We'll get back to you on that. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
But wait, real quickly, but.
Yeah,
if the-
Senator
if- sorry,
McKelvey.
yeah. If the bill passes, though, they would, regardless, I mean, in other
Only
words.
new ones, huh?
Well, yeah, like, it would be prospective.
Yeah.
But and what it would do is.
So leases that are current, then leases that are coming up after this becomes an act, it would only apply to them insofar as the conflict of terms or conditions in the lease and the board?
Well, yeah, it would, if this bill passes, becomes law, like lease extensions that follow would.
Follow them.
I mean, we're still,
So the ones that are in contention, and the ones that could be affected now, I mean, the ones that are, I guess the leases are being extended now that may have this conflict, it wouldn't affect them at all.
Well, the ones that we're extending now, let's say like in the process of today, we're still requiring, because, like I said, we've consulted with the AG, and this is, we're going by what,
No, I know, legally, you're doing the thing, but my
Yeah.
concern is to the point earlier, you have a business, you're running the business based upon the conditions in terms of a lease, the board comes up with new, different ones that now statutorily trump the ones that are in the lease already. That's my point.
Oh, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it
They're now
would,
impacting the business with the, it's like okay, this is now the way it is.
Oh, you know what, Bill?
Anyway.
Senator, section 2,
Mm-hmm.
on page 2, you know where it says lease restrictions generally? So, except as otherwise provided, following restrictions shall apply to all leases. Options for renewal of terms are prohibited. Would that address, what does that mean?
let's see.
So
Oh, because
renewal-
it can't be an automatic, so basically, whenever, if you have a lease, you can't just say, well, I'm gonna issue you let's say right now, not counting any, like Act 149,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
say your standard lease term is a maximum of 65 years.
Right.
We can't say, well, we'll approve you a lease term of 30, let's say 35 years with an option to extend another 30 years to me. You know, there's no such thing as you can just take an automatic extension. If you get a term for a 30 or 35-year lease, even if you want to extend it to the 65, you still have to request that the board approve it, right? The land board approve it and go before the land board to justify it. You can't just, we can't just say, you can automatically say, I'll extend to 65. That's what the option is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Can we add language? Can you work with staff to see if, you know, the issue that I brought up, that any leases that were approved by certain date, not be applied to this? I don't know what the language could be, because it's not recognized in this measure with the concern I raised.
Okay, I'll have to, well,
Unless-
let me go back to.
Well,
yeah.
or a couple of things, maybe staff, SMA, unless I recognize that in the committee report, would that be, yeah. Shall we, committee report is better? Okay, you're clear.
Okay, thank you. And I'll follow up with you on the information.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And sorry, I didn't catch that.
No,
earlier.
not a
Okay,
problem.
all right.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
members, we got to vote on these measures before us. IT, we're not going to go into recess because I think we're prepared to take action ASAP. I got my 4 boys. Hey. Yeah.
That's your boy band.
My 4 boys here.
You got 5, you need 2.
Okay, good. I got 15 minutes. Great. But we're going to take action today.
We're gonna wait 15 minutes? Got 15 minutes.
Yeah, and those administration bills, anybody right now feels that we should add an amendment or make changes, do it now before we hit the gravel. You okay, CDA? Okay. Brad, you're working on the later one. Can I have my, I can proceed with working on the earlier ones because I think Ian's one is at more at the end. So I can.
I have it up there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. We need some changes, I think. Thanks, Ian. Okay. All right. Okay, members, the Committee on Water and Land is going into decision-making. Let's proceed then with SB 2167, and this is relating to natural resource protection. And this is the appropriation. We had great testimony in support. Keep our DLNR alive and working and do their job. Chair's recommendation is to pass with an amendment, but this is just defecting the date for continual discussions. And defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, SB 2167 with amendments, chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass SB 2167 with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang. Senator McKelvey.
Yes.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 2658 relating to the state water code penalties. And this had to do with regards to the minimum penalty at $50 and the maximum penalty of $60,000. This is the violation in the state water code. But members, Chair recommends that we defer this measure indefinitely because this issue is in the seaworm measure that we passed a couple of days ago. It is in there as well into SB 3327. So we'll defer 2658. SB 2978, this is relating to water resources, and this has to do with the income tax credit as well. We'd like to pass with amendments. We'll defect the date to July 1st, 2050 for continued discussion, and we'll also adopt DLNR's amendments as well. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye on SB 2978.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass SB 2978 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. SB 2546, this is relating to the hunting guides. We'll pass with an amendment just defecting the date to July 1st, 2050 for continued discussions. Any discussions, members? Otherwise, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair votes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass SB 2546 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 2810, this is relating to the Pololu Valley management efforts on Hawaii Island. We'll pass with an amendment just affecting the, defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass SB 2810 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, SB 2759, staff, any additions to this as well?
Oh, this is the one. What's relevant criminal?
What about that would take care
Sorry,
of the
it says that in there,
details.
convicted of a crime.
Okay, okay.
What is a relevant
And then what
crime?
is this one? Is that to do?
And that's a big.
No, I need to tell, okay, which. Okay. 27. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Brad. Okay, SB 2759, and this has to do with land, am I correct?
Land
Land uses,
uses.
okay, we're on the same bill. Chair's recommendation is to pass with these amendments. We'll adopt the amendments addressed by DLNR concerns as well as Department of Transportation amendments as well, because it does affect the harbors. And also, we're removing entire Section 8, number 3 on page 6, and we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2050. Okay, any discussions? Hearing none? Yes.
Just real quickly, I'm still gonna take a deeper dive on what a relevant crime or criminal thing would be under the bill. I'm just worried that that could have a pretty profound effect. So I'm just gonna go with reservations for now until I
Okay.
can look at that. Thanks.
Thank you, and this goes to judiciary as well too, so.
Not on there, but,
All right, thank you, Senator. So, SB 2759, passed with amendments. Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to pass SB 2759 with amendments noting the reservations from Senator McKelvey. Any other reservations or no votes? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 2209, this is relating to Thrillcraft. We've received, I did mention, about 200 communications. Most of them were in opposition. Chair would like to defer this indefinitely. Okay,
Real
SB.
quickly?
Yes,
Chair,
Senator McKelvey.
Oh, all right.
Okay, all right.
No, I
Okay,
can.
my boys.
Yeah, I can respect your decision to defer it, but however, this is a huge issue, especially in the area where we have a humpback whale sanctuary, and that's why the throwcraft definition activities are important because of what's occurring out there. So hopefully, maybe if the House sends something over next year, we can work on something to address the issue. Thanks.
Okay, I don't know about whale sanctuary, but I tell you, I took pictures last week in Hilo Bay right in front of our home, and I have an album I'll share with you guys, with those guys jumping out. This year is a lot coming into Hilo Bay. I don't know why, but we have them.
Yeah, but then it's scheduled.
Miss Ewan there shakes her head. She sees it out of La Pohoihoi. Okay, let's proceed. Oh, so, okay, I'm deferring, right? 2209. All right, SB 3050, relating to the Hawaii Community Development Authority. Okay, we can satisfy Greg. We'll give him a good present. Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass with the amendments, only has to do with defecting the date to July 1st, 2050, and hopefully gets into a conference. Okay, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3050 with amendments of the 5 members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 3054, and this is relating to TOD. Chair's recommendation is to pass with the amendment, will defect the date to July 1st, 2050, as well as adopting technical and non-substantive amendments. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes
Okay,
aye.
Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3054 with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 3153, and this is relating to the dam and appurtenance improvements. Chair's recommendation on this measure, we will pass with these amendments. First, we're going to defect the date to July 1st, 2050, and we'll adopt technical and non-substantive amendments. And in the committee report, I'd like to reflect that the positions for the program to be recurring so that the department can have the necessary staffing resources to administer the program as well. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye on SB 3153.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3153 with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Another admin bill, SB 3156, and this is relating to the rent credits for demolition. Recommendation is to pass with the amendments defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3156 with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. I'm missing something. 3156,
That was 3156.
yes.
3158.
3158. Oh, yes, that's the one you worked with, Ian, thank you. Okay, SB 3158, and this is relating to updating the public land leases. Chair's recommendation on this measure, and we thank DLNR for assisting with the concerns or some discussions on this measure. We'll defect the date to July 1st, 2050. We'll adopt technical, non-substantive amendments. Then we'll reflect in the committee report that the department should not be requiring current lease terms and conditions for lease extensions until this measure is enacted. Okay, any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3158 with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. 3160 relating to inspections on public lands. Chair recommends that we pass with the amendments defecting the date to July 1st, 2050, and to adopt technical and non-substantive amendments. Any discussions? Hearing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye on SB 3160.
Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3160 with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, that's it for today. Aloha Friday. Thank you, everybody.